In a world beyond wands and wizardry, where spells held no sway and destiny was no longer written in prophecy, a darker force brewed, one forged in secrecy, blood, and desperation. After the war, when the wizarding world moved on but its heroes could not, Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley found themselves lost in the ordinary. The Ministry drowned in bureaucracy. Magic had healed wounds but left behind hollowness. Then one night a sleek obsidian card arrived at Hermione's doorstep. No owl, no magical trace. Just a message carved in silver. The game finds the broken. Do you dare to win, Fate? Her instincts, sharp as ever, whispered danger. But something else, a strange, forbidden excitement, whispered louder. She reached out to Harry and Ron, and the three of them made the decision that would shatter everything they thought they knew. They woke in a giant, sterile room underground. White walls, iron beds stacked like prison bunks, green tracksuits on every body, each numbered. Harry's uniform read 199, Ron's was 067. Hermione's was 301. Around them were 450 other players, each marked by poverty, guilt, desire, and desperation. Ex-soldiers, failed parents, ex-convicts, broken artists, hackers, millionaires gone bankrupt. But none knew what lurked beneath the calm stares of these three new players, heroes in disguise. Wands had been taken. Magic stripped by a neutralizing field surrounding the arena. This game was built in a place magic couldn't reach. And they were here not for money but for something deeper, redemption, closure, and the chance to find meaning beyond the lives they had already sacrificed so much for. When the voice echoed for Game 1, red light, green light, the mood turned electric. Everyone knew it from rumors. Few believed it. But then came the doll, towering, mechanical, horrific, and the first movement out of place followed by a gunshot sharp and final. Blood sprayed, panic erupted, screams drowned in the echo of death. But amidst the chaos, Harry's mind calculated like clockwork. He didn't blink, he didn't breathe wrong. He memorized the doll's timing in 5 moves. Ron stayed low fast, guiding 2 terrified players as cover. But it was Hermione who turned heads, strategic, sensual, surreal. She was fast, yes, but she played another game, slowing just enough, swaying her hips slightly as she advanced. One man beside her lost focus and stared too long. He tripped, fell, and was gunned down instantly. She kept walking, cold and calm, a goddess painted in danger. She wasn't just surviving, she was captivating the arena. Back in the sleeping quarters, tensions thickened. Players grouped, secrets whispered. Fear disguised as bravado. Some eyes lingered on Hermione, drawn in by her radiant confidence, her honeyed voice, her knowing smirk. She used it. She leaned into it. A glance here, a half-unzipped tracksuit there. Just enough skin, just enough tease to weaken their guard. She seduced without needing to touch. When a rival player from number 212's group approached her for an alliance, Hermione pressed close, whispered promises into his ear, and brushed his jaw with her lips, just before slipping a sharpened spoon into his back while kissing him. She wore a mask of charm but hid a heart carved by war. Every choice was a move, every smile a weapon. Harry, ever the tactician, watched the guards more than the games. He noticed patterns, when they switched shifts, which ones hesitated before shooting, which masked workers whispered too often. He whispered back to Ron, planting seeds of rebellion even as they obeyed the system. Ron, surprisingly brutal when cornered, had started to enjoy the thrill, throwing opponents during night fights, defending Hermione from a jealous female player who attacked her in the washroom. He and Hermione had grown closer, more than friends now, but not lovers yet. There was tension, heat. Once when they lay beside each other during lights out, Hermione whispered, "If we live through this, Ron, don't let me be what I'm becoming." And yet the next day, she used the same lips to kiss another guard during breakfast, stealing a piece of paper from his pocket that revealed the second game's location. Game 2, the Tower of Choice. A twisted puzzle inside a tall spiral structure where players had to choose between truth or dare-style challenges at each floor. Psychological, physical, or emotional. Each wrong step meant falling to death or betrayal. The game forced teams of 3. Naturally, the trio stuck together. The first floor tested their loyalty. Would you sacrifice a teammate to guarantee your own safety? Other groups shattered. Screams echoed as players turned on each other. But the trio pressed forward, trusting the unspoken truth forged in war. They would die for each other. The 5th floor demanded a seduction. Hermione stepped forward without hesitation, drawing the attention of the camera operators behind the mirrors. She slowly removed her tracksuit top, revealing only her sports bra beneath. Her breath steady, eyes sharp, she caressed her own skin as she lured the gaze of a corrupted judge watching. The test passed, the wall opened. Her face never broke. Only after they passed did she collapse, shaking, not from shame, but from what it was turning her into. Ron wrapped his arms around her. She didn't push him away. By the time they reached the final floor, only 212 of 456 remained. Blood stained the lower levels. But the trio emerged alive, stronger. And the crowd behind the cameras, the VIPs, the billionaires, the twisted elite, began to whisper about them. Who are these three? What are they really after? And one masked man in gold, higher than all others, stared at their files and frowned. They're not here for money. They're here to destroy us. Night fell. The dormitory lights dimmed. Alliances began to fracture. Whispers of who had betrayed whom in Game 2 spread like wildfire. Hermione walked the rows, barefoot in her undershirt and low-zipped tracksuit, hair wild, eyes fierce. Players stared. She leaned beside one bunk, whispering seduction into the ear of number 087, a violent gang leader, only to tighten her grip around his neck with her thighs in one swift move, knocking him unconscious. Harry had warned her, "Don't become the game." She replied, "I became this long before we arrived." But there were still over 200 players alive. The worst was yet to come, and the masked judges knew they couldn't control these three much longer. As Hermione curled up beside Ron, her fingers brushing his, and Harry stared coldly at the ceiling above, plotting every possible outcome of the next round, one thing was clear: their presence had changed the arena. The game had never seen players like them, and the real war was only just beginning. The silence of the dormitory after the second game was not peace, it was dread in disguise. The 212 surviving players were broken in ways unseen. Bones mended slower in this place, trust shattered faster. Above all, the presence of three unshakable players wearing Squid Game player green uniform with numbers, 199 Harry Potter, 067 Ron Weasley, and 301 Hermione Granger, was beginning to turn whispers into legends. The masked VIPs watching from hidden chambers and golden lounges referred to them as the Trinity of Rebellion. The games had become more than a blood sport. They had become a stage, and the world behind the cameras was hooked. But power never tolerated rebellion for long. That night, as the guards distributed food, a thin soup and a hard-boiled egg, Hermione noticed the guards hesitated at her corner. Their body language shifted. The VIPs were watching her more than anyone now. She could feel the heat of 100 eyes behind the mask-shaped walls. So she performed. Slowly, delicately, she peeled off her sweat-slicked top, left in only her sports bra and the half-unzipped green uniform, letting the camera drink in her body, but her eyes remained elsewhere. Calculating, Ron nearby stared, not in lust but in worry. He whispered, "You're playing too hard." She smiled faintly. "We're all in the game, Ron. I just choose my arena." Then came the siren. The walls shifted. The bed sank into the floor. A wide spiral staircase rose from the center, leading players into a fog-drenched corridor lined with flickering lights. A new game had arrived. Game 3, the trial of doubles. A circular arena opened, split into mirrored sections. Every player was assigned a double, someone nearly identical in build, size, or mind. It was a game of identity, of deception, of psychological destruction. In each pairing, one person had to convince the other they were the real one, while the other was a plant, an AI-generated clone or illusion. The twist, only one could survive. But the game's genius was in how they couldn't know which was true. Some doubles were real players, some were shadows. Ron's double was aggressive, mocked his insecurities, laughed like Fred, wore the same scared look Ron had once seen in a mirror during the Battle of Hogwarts. For the first time, Ron hesitated. "Am I even real?" The clone mocked him. "You never were the hero. You were just Harry's echo." Ron snapped, used raw rage, not logic. He lunged with the game-given dagger, and the illusion shattered into smoke. The real Ron collapsed, panting, reborn in fire. Harry's test was colder. His double didn't fight, it reasoned. It sounded like Dumbledore, like Sirius. "You're tired of carrying the world, Harry. Let go, let someone else die for once." The two sat in silence for nearly half an hour, each staring. Eventually, Harry said, "You made one mistake." The clone raised a brow. What? Harry whispered. You thought I'd ever stop fighting? One move, one cut, clean, quiet, he passed. But Hermione's trial was diabolical. Her double was better than her. Confident, beautiful, cold, sexy, it walked with grace, spoke with edge, used her own memories against her. It seduced her opponent, a young player, number 288, using Hermione's own style. As Hermione watched her own doppelganger touch his face and whisper lies, jealousy surged. Not because the clone was succeeding, but because it reminded her of what she'd become. Then the game turned personal. Only one between Hermione and her double could exit. The clone approached her, smiled, and whispered, "You're not playing anymore. You're surviving like a coward. I am what you were becoming." Hermione didn't speak. She lunged, wrapped her legs around the clone's neck in a deadly triangle choke and broke it with a twist. The illusion evaporated, but the guilt didn't. When she emerged from the arena, her hands trembled. Ron ran to her. She fell into his chest and sobbed, not from weakness but from the weight of too many masks. The VIPs were ecstatic. "Magnificent," said one. "Let them run longer. The girl, she's better than 212 ever was, make her a wild card." But another, the one in the golden mask, watched quietly. He knew who they were and he had plans. That night, Hermione found a note under her pillow. "Tomorrow's game is made for you. The lovers will burn." She didn't show it to the others. Game 4, the lovers' guillotine. A dazzling ballroom was revealed, gleaming floors, chandeliers, mirrors. A single spotlight dropped onto a golden heart hanging from the ceiling. The rules were cruel. Each player must enter with someone they trust. Only one will survive. The other must be sacrificed to release the door. Gasps echoed through the room. Some players screamed, others pleaded. Some lovers chose to die together. But then, Harry, Ron, and Hermione stepped forward. All three walked in. The masked host interrupted. "Only pairs, not trios. Choose." Ron looked at Hermione. "We do this together." Harry placed a hand on Hermione's shoulder. "No, she plays alone, she'll find a way." Hermione didn't argue. She entered the ballroom with number 116, a quiet woman she had once saved from a bathroom fight. The woman smiled, fragile. "Thank you for choosing me." But Hermione's eyes were focused, blood cold. She danced with her like it was a dream, slow, graceful. Then, mid-spin, she kissed her, whispered, "Forgive me," and pressed the dagger deep into her back. The woman's body snapped. The chandelier cracked open. The door unlocked. Hermione stood in blood and perfume, tears leaking down her cheeks. She walked through the opened gate without a word. Now only 137 players remained. But something had shifted. The crowd watching was silent. Even the VIPs, sadistic as they were, looked shaken. The Trinity, Harry, Hermione, Ron, had not only survived, they had won the crowd. Harry gathered the two in the corner of the sleeping hall that night. "I know who the gold mask is," he said. "I saw the ring on his finger during the last reveal. He's someone from the magical world." "He knows us," Ron clenched his fists. "What do we do?" Hermione's eyes blazed. "We stop being players, we become predators." The dormitory felt colder now, as if the walls themselves remembered the blood spilled in the ballroom. 137 players remained, but none spoke of survival anymore. They whispered only of 301, 199, and Zo67. The Trinity. They had become legends within the arena, figures of awe and terror. Hermione Granger, now revered and feared as the Venus of Death, had danced with betrayal and emerged victorious. Her beauty no longer seduced, it hypnotized. Harry Potter, the Silent Flame, had begun mapping the entire Squid Game facility from memory, finding seams in the system. Ron Weasley, the rebel ghost, burned with new intensity, no longer the sidekick but the hammer waiting to strike. And somewhere in the surveillance room, the man in the golden mask, Orion Vale, once a rogue magical scholar exiled from the wizarding world, watched with growing unease. He recognized them now, not just as threats, but as prophecy. They had been forged in magic. And now they were about to break a world without it. Game 5, the Pyramid of Sacrifice. The players were led, blindfolded and chained, through echoing corridors that smelled of rust and ozone. Then the blindfolds came off. A vast triangular pyramid towered before them, lit by flickering orange flames. The rules were cruel. The pyramid has 7 levels. Every level contains challenges. You must sacrifice someone to ascend. Only those who reached the top could survive. The others burned, broken, discarded. Players began pushing, clawing, screaming. Number 442 threw a younger boy off the second ledge to move up. Number 118 stabbed his own brother on the third floor. But the Trinity did not rush, they climbed with precision. Harry scanned the pattern, hidden gears beneath the floor, pressure sensors on the walls. Hermione used every ounce of her allure and cunning. At one level, she leaned in close to a knife-wielding player, whispered his childhood memory back to him from a secret she had overheard nights ago, kissed him softly, then shoved him into a trapdoor. She wiped the blood off her lips and kept moving. Ron took a more brutal path, defending innocent players, striking down traitors with his bare fists, even breaking a guard's arm when he interfered with the rules. But he paid the price. His leg was gashed by a hidden blade. Hermione bandaged him while they climbed, whispering, "Don't make me watch you die too." He held her hand a little too long. They said nothing more, but everything had changed between them. On the final level, the masked guards announced a sick twist. Only 3 players may reach the peak. Choose 5 remained. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and 2 others, number 057, a former military tactician, and number 219, a cunning, manipulative woman who had grown obsessed with Harry since the second game. 457 attacked first. Hermione blocked him with a broken chain. Harry disarmed him in one move. Ron, bleeding but furious, picked up the man and threw him over the edge. Yondu smiled. "You'll never kill me, Harry," she said sweetly, brushing his cheek with her fingers. "You still see Ginny in my eyes." Harry didn't blink. "That's why I know you're not her." He pushed her gently and she fell silently into the abyss. The Trinity stood at the peak. The pyramid roared below them. They were alive. But more than that, they were above the game now. Back in the dormitory, the dynamic had shifted. No one dared sleep near them. No one looked Hermione in the eyes unless she allowed it. Players feared them, worshipped them. But paranoia crept in. Ron grew distant. He caught Hermione whispering alone to a guard during lights out. Was she seducing him again? Hermione walked into the showers and didn't return for hours. Harry started hearing footsteps behind him at night. The game wasn't killing them. The game was breaking them. Then came the next horror. Game 6, the Graveyard of Trust. A massive simulated graveyard, cold, fog-laced stones marked with names of real people from each player's life. The challenge, each player must dig one grave. In it, they must place something they love. What the game didn't say aloud, but everyone understood, was this: if your object wasn't real, you would die. And if it was too real, a part of you might not survive. Players broke, some screamed, some refused and were shot instantly. Others wept while burying locket photos, wedding rings, letters to dead parents. Hermione stood over her grave silently. Her object, a crumpled, half-burned Hogwarts tie. Ron saw it and felt a pain he didn't understand. "That's mine," he whispered. She didn't answer. She placed it in the grave and wept, silent tears.
Harry buried a tiny enchanted stone.
It had no power now, but it was Sirius's, once his last link to family. Ron hesitated. He had nothing physical, so he whispered into the grave, "I bury the boy who followed his best friend." And the grave accepted it. Only 89 players survived the graveyard. But back in the golden chamber of the VIPs, Orion Vale stood and turned to the other masked elite. "The time has come," he said. "They've passed every test, but they don't know the final truth. This game isn't for money." One of the masked guests laughed. "Then what is it for?" Orion whispered. "To find the one who can break fate itself." The sky thundered as if the gods themselves were watching. Flames coiled around the shattered arena like serpents. The world that once housed 456 desperate souls now lay in ruin. Cracked metal floors, blood-stained walls, and shattered glass staircases. Towering above it all stood Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger, still wearing their tattered green Squid Game uniforms, number 199, number 067, and number 301. The fabric was faded, burned, soaked in ash and blood, but it clung to them like war medals. They weren't just players. They were the last ones standing. All others had fallen. Killed, betrayed. Erased, only the Trinity remained. And just when they thought it was over, the voice returned, cold, divine, mechanical. "Final stage, the end of the world. Claim what is yours, one must rule. 2 must bow or all 3 fall." From the debris rose 3 pedestals, each holding a single prize. 1 chest of 45.6 billion won in cash. one wand-like relic of pure singularity flame, one contract marked in blood-red ink labeled, Reset Humanity. They were given a final choice. Take the money, take the power, or press the reset. Only one person could make the final decision. And only one would walk away with the reward, the twist. Orion Vale, the former magical rebel turned demigod of death, was not dead. His body had disintegrated, but his mind had merged with the Singularity Network. And through the system's corrupted AI, his voice thundered, "You three were never here to win. You were here to test whether love is stronger than ambition. One of you will betray the others. One of you always wanted this power." As explosions lit the sky and the arena began collapsing into the sea below, the tension between the three surged. Hermione stood by the relic. Her eyes flickered with fire. She had sacrificed her soul in every round. Harry stood by the contract, still carrying the burden of justice. Ron approached the money quiet, heavy-hearted. "You want the money?" Hermione said softly. Ron looked at her. "No, I want us to walk out together. But that's not how these stories end, is it?" Harry said nothing. He walked between them and dropped to his knees. "I'm done fighting. Let them write whatever ending they want. But I won't kill either of you." Hermione stepped forward, blood on her lip, fire in her chest. "I didn't survive hell to hand the ending over to a machine." Then, the greatest twist. She took the wand. The singularity flame surged into her body. Her hair lifted. Her eyes went white. For a moment it looked like she had accepted the power. But then, she turned the wand around and stabbed it into the ground. Boom! A ripple of blinding energy burst outward. The entire game, every monitor, every control panel, every memory bank, imploded in golden flame. Orion's voice screamed as the network collapsed. "You were supposed to choose. You were supposed to break." And Hermione whispered, "We chose each other." The final escape. As the arena disintegrated, a hidden staircase rose from the floor. A golden vault door opened. Inside it, an emergency exit tunnel, and 3 clean duffel bags, each containing 15.2 billion won in cash. The reward reel. Unstolen. They looked at each other in stunned silence. Hermione laughed, wild and free for the first time. "We beat them. We actually beat them." Ron limped toward her. Together. Harry followed, placing his hand on both their shoulders. "Let's never speak of this again." Epilogue. 1 year later. A quiet mountaintop villa in Scotland. Hidden, peaceful. 3 chairs on a terrace overlooking clouds. A bottle of fire whiskey. Laughter in the wind. Inside the villa, framed behind glass, are 3 green Squid Game uniforms. Number 99, number 067, number 301. On the wall hangs a newspaper clipping. Unconfirmed, billionaire Squid Game facility destroyed in Pacific. No survivors, but below it, in handwritten ink, wrong. 3 survived, and they'll never play again. The final twist. In a distant corner of the world, a child picks up a strange green card with a golden squid logo. He turns it over. There's a single number, 3-1. And from the shadows, Hermione steps out, no longer in uniform. But her smile is the same, confident, unbroken. "We ended their game," she says. "But now we build our own." Behind her, Harry and Ron appear. Still side by side, still unshaken, still wearing faint traces of their green jackets like scars of legend. A new symbol rises in the sky. Not a squid, but a phoenix,